it feels like how I asked God for clarity and guidance and to feel clear in my heart, and pretty much the next day I felt the presence of Christ, and I felt my anxiety and my tension and my trauma and my angst just straight up leaving my body, and I felt something different now dwelling inside of my heart. It was and still is the craziest thing that I've ever experienced in my life. Keep in mind, I was completely sober. Keep in mind, I had no one around me to influence me towards this path. In fact, as you may or may not know from my past videos, I was dating a Jewish man, a very Jewish man. So there was no incentive for me to go into Christianity at all. In fact, it only created more conflict and friction in my life going forward. But it was not something that I could deny or turn away from. It was not something that I could ever turn back from. It's just not. And so that's how I felt experiencing the Mass and realizing, oh, I don't feel like there's anything missing here. I feel like those things that I felt like were missing, they're here.
Okay, this video is for Julie Nicole. Julie Nicole, if you see this, stop it now. Stop it right now, okay? Do not take any further steps to become a Catholic. Do not convert to Catholicism. Do not get registered in the Catholic Institute, okay? The Roman Catholic Church has nothing good to offer to you if you want to come closer to God. You're not becoming a full-fledged Christian by taking the steps to become a Catholic, okay? I'm making this video specifically to you because I think that it seems to be that I'm the only one in this situation that wants to help you and save you from actually destruction and corruption. Many people are gonna applaud it because they see it as a journey into becoming a Christian, coming closer to God and reconnecting with the deity you call Jesus, okay? Now, if all these things sound familiar, it's because that's what religious people want, that's what religious people do. They will push you in a direction that fits their needs, okay? Institutes that want you, institutes that need you, institutes that want to exploit you, your goodness, your positivity, your light. They're jealous because they don't like individual people progressing in life on a spiritual level. They want people to be controlled and locked in a spiritual prison called religion. Now, Catholicism is one of the worst religions you could choose from. And why is that? In the video you made with coming clean and talking about your experience and talking about coming to God, coming to Christ, coming to the church, you stated that the Catholic Church is the original church. Why? Because it was laid on the foundations when Peter started with his keys that was given by him, by Christ. Now, this story is botched, okay? This story is actually far removed from what actually happened. First of all, mistranslation, misinterpretation, misunderstanding, misapplication used by these institutes to justify their own power, hungry, lusting, mongering, feeling a need that needed to be fulfilled. Maybe that didn't make any sense, but you know what I'm getting at. They have a need, they have something they want to achieve, and that is going to work fine as an excuse to justify their actions. Why? Because Christ did it, Christ passed on the torch or the keys symbolically, and Peter gave us the permission to start the real original church. Now, interesting thing is to interject for people that might be a Jehovah's Witness. There is one thing that are very accurate in their theology, and not justifying everything in their religious, mentality, but in their theology they have some truth. The truth is for them that they recognize that the Catholic Institute, the Catholic Church, the so-called original Church of Christ, is the false church, is a fake church, is demonic and evil and wicked, and definitely should be destroyed. Okay? I don't want to be stepping on no toes or swinging my sword at no Catholics here that might feel offended, but you got to understand one thing. This institute destroyed the saints, sages, holy men and prophets of old, destroyed them, persecuted them, wiped them out, tortured them, and then eventually claim them as their own saints to pray to, and the places that they died and buried or got crucified upside down, for example, turned into a place of pilgrimage for Catholics. Are you effing kidding me? Is this an organization you want to be a part of and identify with? I don't think so. Well, maybe you want to, but maybe you didn't even take the time to realize this. And the thing you mentioned about, you know what, it's so beautiful and heartwarming to step into a Catholic church and see Mass, for example, and experience that fully, you know, the partaking and all that stuff. Let me tell you this, that's how they reel you in. That's what they do in Hinduism, that's what they do in Buddhism, that's what they do in a lot of religions or cults in general, where they show you all this glitter and glamour and you're standing there with your mouth open, drooling all over the place, and that's what makes you want to stay, partake, and be in love with what is going on, because that's how they trick you. They tap into your lower energy, and then it's like giving a baby a candy, right? The moment the baby has the candy, you can do whatever you want because the baby is so focused on that candy. And that's the same thing with adults. The moment they're so obsessed with something they deem as beautiful, perfect, heartwarming, you can do whatever you want. It's like hitting them in a soft spot, you know, and controlling them for the entirety of the time that they're in that place and position of weakness. And that's not what I want for you to happen. That's how much as a human being to another human being I care. Because the moment that video got recommended to me by YouTube was the moment I realized, hold on, something has to be done. This is not going to go good. This is not going to have a happy ending. Because it's going to be a waste of time, a waste of energy, and a lot of heart pain, and even disappointment at the end of the road. You got to know that all these institutes that came in the name of, or that have a earthly representative like the Pope to represent God in heaven, to represent Jesus Christ, do you really think that that is all ordained by a heavenly institute? No! Whoever made that nonsense up is wicked, evil, vile, and they all connect back to the bloodlines. I'll give you another example. If you don't know the origin stories of Islam as a religion, right, as an institutionalized religion, controlled religion, right, the origin lies with Catholicism. Catholicism is responsible for creating the religion that is known today as Islam. So if you're identifying with Catholicism, you're also having blood ties with Islam. Think about that. Is that what you want? Is that what you want to be identifying with, for example? Because if you don't agree with one thing but you agree with the other thing, then you're living in contradiction. That's a double-edged sword. Okay? You don't want that. You don't want that, okay? I just hope at some time that you got to realize that you need to do some real studying. Okay, you need to do some real studying and not just going over the essentials and saying like, okay, all they're doing is exactly the same thing that they used to do back in the day if it came to the community life surrounding Christ. First of all, they changed everything. They changed, left out. The whole identity of Christ got botched. All these saints, holy men, sages, prophets got destroyed. And then they just claim full power, and now you have to obey them and submit to them. I'm sorry, but that is not the intention, or was not the intention of why Christ walked the earth. If you don't realize that, then I'm sorry, but there's not more I can do to help you out with that. All I can do is be a messenger, provide you a message, and hopefully you come to realization that the steps you're taking or the steps into self-destruction spiritually. And what is at line is your soul and your mental health and physical health as well. You do not want to give any type of power to any type of institute. There is no justification in that. And I hope you come to realize that sooner or later, because it's wasteful. You have only so much time in this world. Why do you want to give that time, energy, anything you have to offer of purity to these type of wicked institutes? You do not want to do that, okay? And I hope you come to realize that after watching this video. I'm gonna tag you, okay? And I hope you take the time to study it. And I'll even give you the opportunity, if you feel like it, to do a live stream with me, to come on a live stream with me. We'll turn it into a Q&A live stream where we can talk theology. You can ask me questions about Christ. You can ask me questions about the community, the followers of the olden days, the early Christians. You can ask me anything concerning the life of Christ, the followers of Christ, the teachings of Christ, the messages of Christ, anything what you want to know before taking that step, if it might help you But if not, well, all I can say is I wish you luck with life. I hope it's not going to hit you like a rock. Pun intended, talking about Peter, aka Kepha. You know, there's a reason why they called him the Rock. I'm not talking about Dwayne Johnson. But you know, there's a reason why they called him the original Rock. Because he was the only person that was so reliable to build upon with anything of importance. And that's what they used and took to claim their own and misused that symbolism. And that's very sad, because if you need that as an excuse to build this vile institute to corrupt many souls and people and destroy life, being anti-God, anti-Christ, then you know it's time that that institute get buried forever and ever. The Romans persecuted and destroyed so much essential things, deified their own leaders, destroyed and polluted the land and the temple, did all these things, you know, all these things that are literally anti-Christ in essence, and then in the name of Christ they're going to build a church and proclaim the original Christianity. I'm sorry, but they're effing you and you're not realizing it. So it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up.